Welcome back to the Reconciliation Project. Brother Gas here. I do not want to waste time today because we have a lot to cover. So let's jump right into it. Islam is the second largest religion in the world, boasting about 1.6 billion people that practice faithfully this religion. And what makes it very attractive? This very common sense idea that there must be only one God, and that one God, Him alone, deserves to be worshipped, and no one else need to be worshipped. Consequently, this idea is polemicized against Christianity that Christians do worship a man, though they don't seem to believe that he claimed to be God, but this idea is usually polemicized against Christianity. Now, before we dive deep into it, I sincerely want to apologize to all my Muslim friends and family if you are offended by any shape or form watching this video. I really want you to know that my purpose here is not to criticize or to demeanor you. I am just in the pursuit of the truth. Let's put it this way. If Muhammad spoke the truth, it is very clear that I'm going to hellfire. And if you really love me that much, you will do your very best to bring about all the convincing evidence that will prove that the Quran is the Word of God. And that's the claim of the Quran to begin with. To prove it to me so that I can be converted, hence escape the hellfire. It is exactly the same thing that I'm doing here. My criticism is not directed towards you, it towards your faith, the idea. And I'm contrasting this because there must only be one truth. And I do believe that I stand in the truth. So I want to communicate that truth to you. So let's dive right into it. Today, we are going to be looking into an account that is commonly known in the Quran. It is repeated about 7 times, so I bet you know it. This is the story of Ibliss and Adam. Ibliss is Satan in Islamic language. So let's dive into it. So we ask the question here, is this an historical account or is this a legend? And you might be already offended by seeing a legend there. There is a reason why I put a legend there, and we will find out about it shortly. So stick around as we dive right into it. So let me read some verses in the Quran. I am just going to be reading the red part just for the sake of time. So we say to the angel, bow down to Adam. They bow down. Surah 7:11, the angels prostrates to Adam and they prostrate. Surah 15:30, the angel prostrated themselves. Surah 17:61, the angels bow down unto Adam. They bow down. The next verse we have here, Surah 18:50, the angels bow down to Adam. And then 116, the angels prostrate themselves to Adam. They prostrated themselves. We have lastly Surah 38, 72 to 73. Fall ye down in obedience unto him. So the angels prostrated themselves, all of them. Here we are learning that when supposedly Allah created Adam, he brought Adam forth and commanded all the angels to bow down and worship him. Prostrate is worship. Well, my Muslim friends may not agree with this. So, what is the outcome of this account? Did Satan actually prostrated to Adam? Let's get back into it. So we learned that Satan's actually he refused. Again, the red part. Not so Ibliss, that Satan. He refused to be of those who prostrate. 15:31. Not so Ibliss. He refused to be among those who prostrated themselves. What is your reason for not being among those who prostrated themselves? Allah asked. I'm not one to prostrate myself to a man. Next, here we have again, bow down unto Adam. They bow down except Iblis, that's Satan. He say, shall I bow down to one whom you created from clay? Again, 38, 74 to 76. Allah asked, what prevents thee from prostrating thyself to whom I have created with my hands? Iblis replied, I am better than he. You created me from fire, And this continues. Well, what happens when you don't obey God? Well, there is a consequence. Because Ibliss, Satan, refused to bow down to Adam, he is going to be cast out of heaven. So that's where we pick up. Allah said, 7:13, get thee down from heaven to the earth. Surah 15, 34, 35. Then get thee out from here. Get out of here. 38:77. Then get thee out from here. So Satan is being cast out from heaven. Why? His sin? Because he refused to bow down to Adam. But wait a minute. If you watch the introduction of this video, what is very attractive to Islam today is the idea of worshiping only God. But here we are looking at some account very strange where angels, a high supreme being, commanded to bow down to Adam. Many did, except Iblis, which is Satan, and his followers. Now, I want to bring your attention to where this story actually came from. So let's get back into it. Here, I'm going to be looking into three accounts. Life of Adam and Eve, also known as the Apocalypse of Moses. This was written around 100 BC and 200 AD. That is uh, second century. We will also look into some texts from the Gospel of Bartholomew. That was from the third century. And the Book of the Cave of Treasure. And that is also from the fourth century. So all these texts, they precedes the Quran. They are before the Quran. So let's see if we find some similarity or some exactness of the story. Now, before we get into it, keep in mind that the Quran is the direct revelation that came straight from heaven, from Allah, to Prophet Muhammad. It was never revealed to anyone else, supposedly. So let's get back into it. First, let's look into the life of Adam and Eve. So here we have the devil having a conversation here with Adam. So the devil answered, Adam, what are you saying to me? So Adam and the devil having a conversation here, and the devil is telling us the story of what happened. That's Satan. So Michael brought Adam after he was created and made you worship in the sight of God. The Lord God then said, behold, Adam, I have made you in our image and likeness. Hold on a second here. This sounds more like Genesis chapter 1. Well, if you're not aware of this text, it was actually written by Jews. So let's get back into it again. Michael himself worshipped first. Then he called me and said, worship the image of Jehovah. Wait a minute. Jehovah? Well, I thought it was Allah. Very strange. Then the question will be asked, why did the Quran drop the name Jehovah and replaced it with Allah? That's very strange. Let's get back into it again. So Satan answered, I do not have it within me to worship Adam. So Michael is asking Satan, compelling him to worship Adam because Adam was created in the image and the likeness of Jehovah. One more account from the same book, Life of Adam and Eve. 15, Michael said, worship the image of God. If you do not worship, the Lord will grow angry with you. Well, he refused, so then the Lord grew angry with him. So we expel from our dwelling. Here, the devil is complaining to Adam that it's because of you we got kicked out of heaven because we refuse to worship you. Let's bring a second account. This time I want to look into the treasure of the cave. Okay, let's bring that up here. The Book of the Cave of Treasures. That's what I wanted to say. Just so you know, I have been including the link below each of these accounts. If you are interested, you can pause the video or screenshot it and go check this and read the entire story for yourself. Very fascinating. I was all in when I was reading this story. So let's get back into it. The Book of the Cave, interested in the right part only. And when the angels heard this speech, they all bowed down and worshipped him. What was this speech? Well, Adam, behold, I have made you king. King? Adam is the only person on earth at this time. Who was he ruling over? Well, except him and his wife, priest. Well, if anyone knows the biblical idea of a priest is a mediator between God and his people, well, namely sinners. So he mediates between the two. This account here, we are talking about when Adam did not sin. But God is already talking about making him priest and making him a prophet, somebody that brings the oracle of God to the people. What is the point of all of this story, right? It's still strange. It doesn't really make sense. One more account from the book of the cave here. And the angels went before him, singing praises, and the seraphim ascribed holiness unto him, unto Adam, and the cherubim ascribed blessing. And amid cries of joy and praises, Adam went into paradise. According to this text, Adam was actually created on earth and then went to heaven in paradise and then will be expelled from paradise. Let's look into the Gospel of Bartholomew as we are wrapping up here. According to the Gospel of Bartholomew here, I'm just interested in the red part. And again, you can pause and screenshot and read it for yourself. And when I came from the ends of the earth, Michael said, that's Satan reporting here, worship thou the image of God, which he has made according to his likeness. But I said, I am fire of fire. I was the first angel formed. And shall I worship clay and matter? Well, again and again, just like in the Quran. Satan refused to bow down to Adam and is giving his reason he's not backing down. The strange thing about this account is Bartholomew was a disciple of Jesus Christ, and he is accustomed to the story in Genesis. And if you look at his story here, is mirroring the story in Genesis. It will be very strange. It is very strange that the Quran included this story. Let's wrap up here. One more thing. And then Michael say unto me, worship, lest God be angry with you. Well, and again, if you have not noticed, this God is very angry. You don't worship his image. Well, that reminds me a little bit more of Daniel, a similar story. Well, that's the story of another time. Let's get back and wrap this thing up here. So Satan refused, then God was angry with me and cast me down. I was cast down with another 600 people that refused to bow down to Adam, and Satan and his crew were cast down. Now, you may ask, like, okay, what's the point of all of this? If it's just an information, what's your point? Here's my point. I'm going to bring one more slides and then I can make my point, and I'm going to ask you about 4 questions to think about. And hopefully, you have some answers for us in the comment. And I will really ask that you keep it respectful there. Okay? So let's get back in there. Here's what I want to bring up here. In Surah 364, it says, say, O people of scriptures, come to an agreement between us and you that we shall worship none but Allah, and we shall ascribe no partner unto him. We have the same story happening, different account. Surah 931, they have taken as Lord beside Allah, the rabbi, Jews, and the monks, and the Messiah, son of Mary. Then they were bidden to worship only one God. They ascribe as partner to him. So the Quran keep on saying over and over, just like we had in our introduction, you can only worship one God. That raises the question, and I want to bring up these questions here as we wrap up. Question number one, is Allah being hypocritical, or does he have double standard? Honestly, the previous account we read, it was very easy for him, multiple times, more than 6 times, about 7 times to be exact. He ordered all the angels to worship Adam, and except one supreme angel refused, and his followers follow him. And then we actually read again in our last account in Surah 364 and Surah 931, where no one is to be worshipped, no human being. Is he being hypocritical, Or is he being having double standard here? We see some contradiction. The second question we are asking, why punish Satan for doing the right thing? Honestly, when we read the second account here, the last two surahs that we read, it seems like Satan was more obedient. He did not want to worship a person. Then Satan get cast out. And now today, Jews and Christians, specifically Christians, are looked down on and polemicized against because we worship a man. When from the beginning, Adam was ascribed to be worshipped. This seems to be a little bit more hypocritical. In my standard, it seems to be that Satan has more value and more understanding than Allah, without any disrespect. Next question. Are the above writings inspired by Allah? If they are inspired by Allah, why aren't Muslims reading these writings? Now, the last question I want to ask, I want to wrap this up really quickly. The last question is, how are these in relation to Allah's challenge in Surah 11:13? I have it here. Or they may say, He forged it. Say, bring ye then 10 surahs forged like it. From time and time and time in the Quran, I'll make a different video on this, where Allah is challenging people to make surah like what He's done. And somewhere in Hadith, Muhammad will be sweating to be receiving these revelations. Supposedly, why sweat to receive a revelation that has been around for 100 years? This is very questionable. Now, my concern making this video is to my true friends, those that are Muslim friends. And if you're not my friend and you are watching this, I'm concerned about you. The fact that these accounts are supposed to be word from Allah, but here we are finding it from a secular account, uninspired writings. Should we take this, and how do you respond this in regard to the challenge that the Quran is posing over and over again? I really hope that you take time, friend, to look into this account, read it for yourself, and see. And if you find out that these accounts are actually forgery or plagiarism, then my question to you is, what else in the Quran has been plagiarized? Well, you don't have to ask that question because we will be making some videos in light of bringing the truth, because we are concerned about you, our friends. And it is not propelled by hate. We are propelled by two things: the love of Christ and the terror that awaits those that know the truth and disregard the truth. It may not be your fault. Your apologists and your theologians have not been telling you the truth. And I have no interest of lying to you than going and reading to you your own account and bringing sources where they have been forged or plagiarized. So I will see you in our next video. God bless you. And remember, it's never too late to make up your mind and start investigating the book that you believe in, supposedly a holy